And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome
I wasn't
to
talking this time either, so you can't blame me for that.
welcome to €3 and a dollar. Although we are soon to be getting rid of the dollar
3-year-old?
part as we kick Koshi off the show
There's no 3-year-olds on the show.
for being extremely fucking irritating. You made me swear within the first 30 seconds. Are you proud of yourself?
Demonetized.
For real? I'm pretty sure it's within the first 30 seconds. If you swear, it instantly demonetizes you.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, you need to be monetized for that first.
That's true. That's actually very true. Which I'm sure will happen someday in the land of YouTube.
Yeah, when everybody else stops using YouTube.
All right, that's it. We're going to kick.
No, certainly not. I'm alright. I'm alright on YouTube, not Kick. Or Twitch for that matter. Although Twitch has been alright lately. They've done a couple of good changes recently, I guess. They're on the right path.
Horrible.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but is it because they're turning around?
I mean, the only way was up, really. So.
Yeah.
I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, I mean, like,
depends on what's broken.
I'll recognize.
The fingers.
I'm just gonna recognize that they're doing good things, but they're not out of the water yet. Which is, I mean, they're still.
I'm sure they'll pay attention.
they should, huh? With all
I think you're gonna get a text from the CEO later asking what else he should do.
And he's gonna be like, "What the fuck? You chatting shit about me?" I'm sorry, Daddy. Anyway, as you can see, Zion has perished. He might get resurrected next week. We don't know, but we've yet again found that he's perished. So he's not going to be joining us. And I think Seth is busy, so he's not going to be dropping in. It is a Friday, and he's normally busy on a Friday, unfortunately. Which is why we should probably do this earlier in the week.
He's not streaming.
Yeah, maybe he'll drop in then. Maybe he will. But I've got it all set up this time. I've got it all set up this time. So if he does join, I'll be able to have him on the screen, I think.
And we'll never hear from him again.
It's just now that he knows there's a dedicated box for him, he's never going to be there. We have things to talk about, right? Koshi, you've
mainly you, I believe.
Yeah, totally. I've got lots to talk about. But let's start with Koshi, because you've been playing Alan Wake 2. The past, when was that? It was like early this week? Or was it last week?
It came out a week before, last week.
All right.
It came out Friday, Thursday night for most people.
So you've had a decent amount of time to play it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've sunk your teeth into it a decent amount, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say I'm about 3/4 of the way through it already.
All right, cool. And your first impressions would be? I want to hear what you think about it so far.
My first impression is, that old timeless debate, people arguing, can video games be art?
Yeah.
This would be a strong indicator that yes, they could be art.
Is there really a discussion though about games being art?
I see it come up. Well, I think it was, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was a movie critic, maybe Roger Ebert, who once said that video games could not be art. And it sparked kind of a backlash, and it's not something that is always talked about, but I
would say it's a minority of people that would say that it's not art, right?
Well, for the longest time, I would say it's not really art either.
It just depends.
I mean,
I see it as movies. Not every movie I would call art, but
exactly. But
right,
this
one, but just because you don't like personally like it, doesn't mean it's not an attempt at art at very least.
No, but you have popcorn movies, and I wouldn't call a popcorn movie a piece of art.
But they're expression, even though if they're just popcorn movies, right? Like even if the expression is just big explosions on the screen, it's still something. Just because it's not like some sort of like nuanced bloody noir type thing with an intricate plot. I'd say it's still
No,
artistic
but
expression
it's
at the
just
end of the day.
it's what do you call pop music art? If it's produced by big studios and the artists have nothing to say about it.
All right, I guess you got me there. But there is obviously
Anyway, I'm
people
gonna
who
go
would
grab
who
grab
would.
my food.
I mean, there's plenty of people who would say that it is still art, even if we would probably disagree with them. Anyway, continue. But like, you're definitely right though. Like games are artistic expression. I would say there's definitely more. There's games out there that would definitely fit into it more than others, and I'm guessing Alan Wake is one of them.
I really think that it comes down to what the intention of what you were designing was. Was it to make someone feel something? Was it artistic impression? Or was it just paint by the numbers for a cash grab? You know, like the next Call of Duty, if you will.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And this game, I feel like they intentionally went ways that might I don't want to say upset people, but or for the risk of upsetting people. Like I've seen this game is very decisive. I've been going through a lot of Twitch channels watching people play it, and I've been looking at chat reactions. And some people are like, "Oh, this is the cringest fuck shit I've ever seen. What pretentious 13-year-old wrote this?" And you know the like. And then
Mhm.
I've seen other people say like, "Holy shit! Like this is actually really smart. This is done really well. Like they put a lot of time and care into this, and regardless of what it cost them." Whether they knew people were going to like it or not, they stuck to their vision and they wanted you to see their vision. And this game, I think, is that whether you like it or not, like this game is a piece of virtual art. And it's kind of ridiculous about how far they've pushed it. And but that aside, it's I think probably Remedy's best game ever. If you're a
Yeah.
fan of Remedy or X Files or Supernatural or a Twilight Zone,
Mhm.
chances are you're really going to dig Remedy games in general. And I think their biggest hit to date, other than Alan Wake, which is what put them on the map, I think was Control.
Yeah.
But then I've seen people say Control was boring, or you know, it had nothing going on in it, and it's like I'm not gonna try to defend that. It's you see what you want to see. I can give you 1,000 reasons why to your 1,000 reasons why you didn't like it. I can give you 1,000 reasons why you should like it. But at the end of the day, it's opinion. You're just marketing towards a certain audience. Not everyone's going to enjoy everything.
Yeah.
But those who enjoy it are going to love it. And this game is basically it's beautiful. It's probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life, or at least maybe not the game itself, but the experiences that it's given me is probably some of the best that I've ever had in my life.
Damn.
And yeah, I mean it's ridiculous the things that they do in this game. I can't describe it. It comes off to a normal person, and by normal I mean like not a fan or a casual fan who's not into those things, who's just looking for a game to play
The
or
regular
for the
Joe.
next Mario. Yeah, regular Joe. You know, to the casual person, this just seems like a bad. I don't even say bad, just a Resident Evil clone. You know, the recent Resident Evils, the remakes, 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
And to some extent, it is. You know, I mean, a lot. The gameplay is all Resident Evil. The inventory system is Resident Evil. The inventory storage system, the save mechanic without the requiring ink ribbons, is Resident Evil. The combat itself, the way your character moves, the almost like tank controls, it screams Resident Evil. And but there's just so much more there below the surface, because majority of the time when you're walking around you're not even fighting, it's just building tension and nonstop, you know, like mystery and atmosphere that to the point where it's almost like a walking simulator, but you're enjoying what you're doing so much that you can't wait to see what's around the next bend, or wait to see what's in store for you. Like the exploration, even though it's an arena style game as opposed to an open world or a corridor shooter, excuse me, it's very it still pushes exploration, and you just once you dive into it, it's like reading a good book. You just can't stop. Then before you know it, like 3 hours have passed, and you're like, whoa, wait, what happened? I need to take a break. My
So
family misses me or something.
so for those of us who don't know anything about Alan Wake, myself included, because I have never played the games, since I assume you've played the first one as well. Give us a little bit of information about the actual, like, what the background for the games and the story and things like that. Without spoilers for the second game, but this first game you can give spoilers for, I imagine, since it's been a while it's been out.
Yeah, 13 years.
Because I know nothing about the game series itself. I know there's a guy called Alan Wake in it. that's literally all the information I know. So give me a brief rundown of what the game is about, and the story it's trying to tell you.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. Alan Wake was a writer who was going to Bright Falls, Washington, I believe, in the Pacific Northwest, because, as I said, he's a writer. He writes crime books, like noir type stuff, and he's got writer's block, and he's been getting into fights with his wife over this, and so his wife decides to bring him out there, and the idea is that he's going to go to a cabin, and he's just going to become one with nature, and he's going to rest, he's going to relax, recharge his batteries, and maybe get over the writer's block. Secretly, his wife has him going to meet a doctor or a psychiatrist, therapist, one of the two, I don't remember which. And well, that kind of upsets him because he doesn't think he needs help. He just needs to get away. He just needs to relax.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been getting anger issues. And so what happens is his wife ends up, like, he has a fight with his wife and he leaves the cabin. And then when he closes the door, he starts hearing her scream for help. He runs back in, she's gone, and he cannot find her. So the story is him basically there's this entity, the darkness, which is like basically all the evil and horror and just everything negative about the world condensed into like one type of dimension, if you will. And
so your basement.
Yeah, so my basement. And his wife gets trapped in it. And because he got angry, he was already on the verge. And this last time he got angry with her, he kind of opened a doorway for it to envelop her. So now through the whole story, you're going around switching from one reality to the next, your normal, our regular reality, to the darkness reality, because you are trying to find your wife. And the beings that you fight in there are people that get possessed by the darkness, and they have like a shadow that protects them. So you have to use bright light. Excuse me, my throat is so dry. You have to use bright light to like kind of shed away the darkness so you can attack them directly. That's the whole mechanic you see. They have to use the light, burns away the darkness, and then they can shoot them. And well, the end of the story, he saves his wife. He gets her out, but he takes her place in the darkness. And his doppelganger inside the darkness, which is also a part of the entity of the darkness itself, also escapes and goes on the hunt. He calls himself Mr. Scratch. He looks like, as I said, doppelganger. He looks like Alan Wake, but he's kind of like a more evil, twisted version, like Dark Link, if you will.
Okay.
Or Dark Samus, whatever. It's Nintendo.
Sure.
So now Mr. Scratch, who's a serial killer, is on the loose out in the real world, but his ultimate goal is to get Alice, Alan Wake's wife, while Alan is stuck in the darkness. Fast forward through Remedy's games, we come to Control in 2019, where they introduce AWEs, Altered World Events. It turns out the darkness is an AWE. And Jessie Faden, the redhead girl,
So
She ended up becoming
Control and Alan Wake are in the same universe.
yes.
Ah, okay.
This is where they start building the Remedyverse, is what they call it.
Ah, right.
So Control is like as they're called the FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control. Their job is to go out and stop things like the darkness from happening, all right,
Okay.
or getting out. And Alan Wake is an AWE. And you play through the game, you do your thing in the Control, but there is Easter eggs with Alan Wake in it. And that's kind of like the whole reveal was, oh my god, this is in the same universe.
Right.
Fast forward to Alan Wake 2, Saga Anderson is an FBI agent who shows up in Bright Falls 13 years later because there was a murder. And the murderer is somebody who was trying to kill Alan Wake in the first game, named Nightingale, who was an FBI agent. So she's there with Casey Jones. That's from Turtles. What am I talking about? Alex Casey, who was named after the writer, or I'm sorry, named after the main character in Alan Wake's book. So already you're thinking, is Alex Casey a real person? It's also played by Sam Lake, by the way, the creative director behind Remedy and the guy who was also the face of Max Payne.
Ah, okay.
So you're wondering, is he real? Is this written this way? And then Saga Anderson starts having issues. Like people in the town know her. Apparently, she's lived there for like the last like 20 years. Her child named Logan, who is back home in Vermont with her husband, apparently drowned like 3 years ago, and like things are coming to life, and she's not really sure like what's real, what's not. And Alan Wake is trying to write a story in the darkness to get out of the darkness, and he's got Saga helping him, but at the same time, Scratch in the real world is also writing a story that's mixing with everything. So that's essentially what's going on. The best I can explain it, the quickest I can explain it, because it's really deep. But that's the best I can explain of what Alan Wake is and where we are right now in Alan Wake 2.
All right. Sounds interesting. Sounds like a lot of
It's very cerebral.
yeah, it sounds like
The
a lot of
game loves to fuck with your
twisty,
mind.
yeah, twisty mindfuck kind of thing,
It is.
which
It
is
is.
I kind of dig it. I dig that kind of vibe of at least from movies. I don't really know many games that do that, at least not effectively. So I haven't really played many of them, but yeah, it sounds interesting. Sounds like something I would probably enjoy actually. I mean, I
It
think
is.
I have Control on some account somewhere. I should maybe try and actually play that at some point.
If Resident Evil, and I'm sorry, not Resident Evil, if Red Dead 2 had not come out the same year as Control in 2019, Control would have been my game of the year.
Hmm.
I loved it that much. It is
Yeah.
more action, but it's like 70% action, but then 30% investigating.
Yeah.
Here, I would say it's actually the reverse. It's 70% investigating with 30% action.
All
So
right.
there is a a difference between the two games. So if you go and playing Control and then thinking, okay, Alan Wake's going to be like this, it's not. It's not. It's going to be different.
Yeah. But similar themes.
Very heavily Control. Like for one of the things that Control was praised on was like its lore building in the game. There
Mhm.
are like reports and notes hidden all over the game. Probably like 100 of them, probably, maybe more. And they're all between stories from FBI agents, rangers who work with FBC, different FBC personnel, victims, survivors. And it's like reading almost to a point like a short horror story, every single one of them.
Hmm.
It's really fascinating. When you find one, you just kind of stop everything you're doing just so you can sit back and read the note. Even if it's something silly, like they'll say, you can't bring like notice to all personnel. Don't forget, you can't bring cell phones, you can't bring markers, you can't bring pens. Only number 2 pencils are allowed. If you find yourself on a floor that's shifted and now you're somewhere else and you're lost, just call for help or wait. And they come up with like these ridiculous like safety seminars that make no sense. Like, what the hell are they talking about? If the floor shifts, what does that even mean? But then it starts happening to you in the game, and everything just kind of starts to click, and you're like, oh, that's what they're talking about. That's fucked up. Okay.
Alright, fair enough. It's it sounds like it's a little bit like the SCP kind of thing.
It is. I would say that Remedy basically did their own version of the SCP universe.
Yeah.
They had several different games, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and then they kind of put it all together in Control to kind of keep it all lore-wise, in a nice package.
Mhm.
And now Alan Wake 2 is an extension of that. And now I'm most hyped for they're in the preliminary stages of making Control 2 right now. So I'm super hyped about that.
All right, cool. I do like the games that have that, or even just movies, stories in general. It's basically like you've got a government body that are the face of them to the public is like it's like FBI or something, but behind the scenes they're dealing with like these crazy monstrosity kind of things where it's like they're trying to keep the horror of this unnatural world from breaching into our world.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly what it is.
So like the public doesn't really know about it, but they're like these agents are basically going around trying to stop basically the world from ending in a way. No, maybe it's not every time they do it, but like essentially they're trying to curb it and keep it at bay.
The best way I heard it explained was it is the X-Files if the X-Files had more than 2 people working on the same case.
Right.
If they had an entire division devoted to the X-Files and not just 2 random agents, one of them already, a believer,
Yeah.
then that's what Control would be. And that's kind of what SCP is to some extent. Yeah, there's a few differences between the 2 organizations, but ultimately when you really put down like the major plot points on a piece of paper, they line up.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a copyrighted SCP.
And I will also say I got 2 last things to say about Control. No, I'm sorry, Alan Wake. One, if they don't shit the bed at the end, which I don't think they will, because I've just seen nothing but praise from the game from people who played it and enjoyed it, and not the sweaty, room temperature IQ people who don't understand what's going on. This is probably going to be my game of the year. In fact, I can tell you right now, it is going to be my game of the year. Unless like I said, unless it shits the bed. And I know I'm being harsh on people. There are a lot of intelligent people out there who don't like it. That's fine. I'm being harsh on them. I'm teasing them. Yeah. But I think this is going to be my game of the year.
God
yeah,
damn.
I think so. Well, this year, yeah. I mean
we've had some bangers this year, to be honest.
Nothing I think, in my opinion, that matched this, that made me feel the way this game does.
But you've also been looking forward to this game for 20 years.
Yeah, but he was also looking forward to Starfield. And when
yeah,
that came out, he said that would be his game of the year.
But Starfield has legit issues. And I think with Alan Wake, it is a competent game. It's just whether it's for you or not. Because I see people calling, I see people calling it boring, but I think then, well, maybe it's just not for you. And I do believe that if you don't like the mechanics and the way it's done, then I can see it being boring for you if you're not vibing with it. But then on the other side, like Goshi, if it is vibing for you, it's something special.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. Looking back at all the games I've played this year that I've been able to play, I can't call games that I didn't play a game of the year.
Yeah.
It has to be something I played. So of all the games that I played this year, this is the one that probably intrigued me and interested me and delivered, keyword there, delivered the most out of all the others. Now, I had my reservations about this game before it came out. Funky can attest to that. I said, I was not a big fan of the combat in Alan Wake. I was not a big fan of it. And that was the one thing that scared me about this game. Was I going to enjoy it because of the combat? But as it turns out, they actually cleaned it up. They made it more smooth, more workable. It's actually, in my opinion, doable now. So it doesn't bother me anymore. But I did have my reservations before the game came out. But compared to everything else, Starfield I thought was a good game. But I think it's going to be a better game when the mods come out. At the end of the day, you shouldn't rely on mods to make the game great in the first place. Cyberpunk did technically re-release this year, and I've heard nothing but good things about 2.0 and the expansion.
Yeah.
But
I
I
was
can't
con-
call an expansion game of the year.
I would consider it a re-release for sure. Like they changed a lot of the way the mechanics work and things like that. It's basically
Yeah, but
the
like
true
I wouldn't
launch
call
of
it.
the game.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it. It's an expansion, so you can't really give it.
Yeah, would you
No,
call
but
an expansion a game of the year?
the updates themselves weren't the expansion. They just came with like just before it.
Yeah.
Like the
But you can't say the
ignoring
update.
if you just ignore the expansion and just focus on the updated, like the actual massive patch that they released for the game, and just focus on that, then it's basically a re-release of it.
Yeah, but for game of the year reasons, you wouldn't add it, right?
Yeah, I can't. I can't.
I would say no, but if someone wanted to like consider it released this year,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna
Like who gives a shit
argue it.
anyway to begin
Yeah,
with anyway.
like ultimately it's like yeah, I find I can see like someone saying like they would consider Cyberpunk properly released, like the true release being when that 2.0 patch dropped. But ultimately, like
See, if you're gonna judge it as a whole game, then you lose me again. But if you're saying, because an expansion should mainly be a review or a saying about what it did to what it added to as an expansion, not just like, oh hey, this stuff that people hated in the base game, we've now changed it, then that's just a patch for me.
there was a patch. The 2.0 patch wasn't the expansion. The
Yeah,
expansion
I
came
know, but
after.
I'm saying for consideration of game of the year, if you're gonna judge the main game with it, then it's kind of like,
Yeah, I'm with Funky on that because the patch fixed a lot of things, but the game already existed.
yeah.
The game really released in 29 or 2020, was it? 2020 or 2019? I don't remember. I think 2020.
2019, late 2019 or something like that.
I don't remember. But my point is the game did actually release already. And I could only yeah, they fixed it. But if they release a game that's like broken beyond belief and then over a course of a year they start fixing it and then they release it in 2022 and then you finally play it in 2023 when it's fixed, would you call it a game of the year for 2023 or 2022 when it originally released?
I mean, technically
I
no,
can
but I'm just saying that there's people out there that would say like they would huffing the copium. They would say, oh well, it released in early access. We'll just say that, like as a way to
Yeah,
like
I get
try
that
and
too. I don't
I
agree with
to
see
you,
just
but I
cope with
get
the
it.
fact that
yeah,
it released in
yeah.
such a shit state.
I kind of see it as MMO expansions. Like I can see an MMO expansion being, I mean, like, oh, this is my quote unquote game of the year, but then it should be only, you should only judge the expansion. You can't just, let's say, oh, Endwalker for Final Fantasy. Oh, but the main story for Final Fantasy and all of these other expansions is really good, so I'm counting that along with Endwalkers. No, this year
No,
Endwalker,
you
well,
would.
not this year, but you judge it by
Yeah,
Endwalker. Everything before that doesn't count.
agreed. I agree with that. Because I mean, when it comes to MMOs, when they release an expansion, it literally is like releasing a new game. That
Yeah,
is, or at least it's supposed to. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. Because the rest
I'm
is
not
just
saying they. I'm not
side
saying they
stuff.
fucking. I'm not saying they achieve that every time, but they're supposed to. That
Yeah,
is they're supposed to be their goal when they release an expansion for an MMO. It's meant to be
yeah,
like, yeah, we're releasing essentially a new game. It's just everything's persistent. So
yeah, and it's the next story beat.
yeah,
So it is kind of like an added layer to it, kind of thing.
The last thing I'll say on Alan Wake too is Remedy loves to use music, And in every game they've released, they've always had like a music stage type thing, and they generally pick the same band. The band is called, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly because it's a really good band, Poets of the Fallen. But in the game, Alan Wake, where they were first introduced, they're known as the gods of Asgard. Which supposedly a theory is that they're actually the gods of Asgard. Retired and
it's
playing music.
Poets of the Fall, not Fallen, just Fall.
Poets of the Fall. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Well, in Control, they really pushed the limits. They introduced something which everybody who's played the game, whether they didn't like it or they did, talks about. It's called the Ashtray Maze. I won't, if you haven't seen this, because it's still fairly new, only like 4 years old. I won't spoil it. But essentially, what it is, you're running through like a kind of a hotel setup, hotel scenery type setup, and the rooms that you go in when you're doing combat keep changing on you. The key thing here, though, is that the gods of Asgard, or Poets of the Fall, are playing a rock song like 80s cheese metal, Scorpions or Europe, or those type of people, which are good. I like them, but they are kind of cheesy. Excuse me. The music reacts to everything that you're doing in the game. So what they'll do is they'll have like it'll go into a solo, and the solo won't necessarily repeat, but the solo won't end until you either trigger the next stage or get into combat again. And then the game can tell like when you're at a heightened part in the combat, and then the chorus will kick in to play along with you, like you're watching like a movie and the music kicks in at the right time to get you pumped. And it was really, really well done. Well, in Alan Wake 2, they did the same thing even better. They actually went up themselves. Funky, you saw a bit of this yesterday in that scene that I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't get to see the whole thing, and you also didn't get context. But yeah, essentially what's going on is they're telling the story of Alan Wake, but they're doing it through a musical, and you're stuck in it in a loop, and you can't get out of it. It's the darkness's way of containing you, and you have to write your way out. But to do that, you have to find the right word that will give you the power to do that. So you basically have to find your way out of the loop by playing its rules, but also learning what rules you can break. And meanwhile, while you're doing that, they're playing the song that matches everything you're doing on the screen. So if it's if you're not fighting or not doing anything, it's a slow guitar solo. But if you're like you're in mid combat, they're either going into chorus or they're ripping into like they're shredding on the guitar like something like that.
Exactly like that.
And it exactly like that, exactly. And yeah, it was really, really done well. And it kind of hurt because I was enjoying it so much. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I go and check out like some other streamers like, what is this dumb shit? Like, this is fucking stupid. Were they high when they did this? And it's like, man, you just don't get it. Like,
I
dude,
will admit,
bro.
I found it a bit cringy.
See, that's why Funky and I aren't friends anymore.
But I also find most musicals cringy. So
yeah, Cool Carnage was saying the
yes.
same thing actually.
Yeah.
If you watch his review, or no, not his review, but
Yeah, I haven't yet because I was going to, and then a cat sat on my lap. So
but when I watched that part when he streamed it, and he's like, you know what? I do not like musicals. I absolutely hate musicals, and I loved that. And I was like, he gets it. He gets it.
yeah, I think it's more just like I can appreciate what they went for, but I didn't enjoy the song. I thought the guy singing it was cringe. I thought, and I like the black actor. He's from Homeland, I think, but I always forget
I
his
think you're
name.
right. It is Homeland
Yeah,
because I know him
but
from somewhere, but I
yeah,
couldn't place
I,
it.
I I really like him as an actor, but his singing was also like you could tell they used auto tune and everything like that, so it was just kind of like the song fell flat for me, and then just having a song that is kind of cringy to me hearing it over and over again. It's kind of like,
Well,
eh.
that's
But it was nicely done. If you like it, it was nicely done.
see that's the crux right there of Remedy games in general, is that they are a bit silly, and you're either going to find it cringe or you're just going to adore it. Because one of the things they like to do is they like to mix full motion video with their in-game engine, but they've been able to put it together so seamlessly
Yeah,
that
technically, I have nothing to say about it.
it actually feels really normal. Like, why don't all games do this? Like, it feels good when they do it. You'll see it a lot in Control. You'll see it a lot in Alan Wake 2. And they also, well, in Quantum Break, they did it, but it felt like two different games. It felt like A, you're playing the game, B, you're watching an episode of TV, and then C, you're back to playing playing that game based off that TV episode. Whereas here,
Yeah.
they blend them together nicely. So when you're watching Alan Wake in digital form, or you're watching him in full motion video, the actor, it feels seamless. It feels like it's normal.
Did you
But
play Quantum Break? Oh, sorry.
no, I didn't, and I want to.
Because
That's
that
the one
feels like
Remedy game
they're.
I have not
Yeah,
played
that
because
feels
at the
like
time it
they're.
was only out on Xbox One.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that feels like they're kind of misfire where
That is the one that did.
they kind of went a bit too far, kind of thingy.
That is the one that they went the least successful route with, and but you can see that it was you can tell that it's a precursor to Control. So now, having played Control, I want to go back to just to experience the story.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be one of my favorite Remedy games. I think like they
No,
can't all be
I think
perfect
out
games.
of those, I don't know. I only know Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and well, both Alan Wakes, of course, and Control, and I think that's by far their worst one. Where even if you are a fan of them, it's kind of like, yeah, this is not your best work.
Yeah. But don't forget Max Payne 1 and 2.
No, I did not know they did that. But
Yeah,
I've never
Sam.
played Max Payne 1 and 2. Oh,
Well,
Sam
I
Lake.
does
played
that
it.
mean
I played a demo of 1.
does that mean Max Payne is part of the Control universe then?
No, because they don't own the rights to it.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why Max Payne 3 was made by Rockstar.
All right. Okay.
Max Payne is modeled off of Sam Lake, as I said before, the creative director. He's voiced by the same actor who's in Control, who plays Dr. Darling. And Dr. Darling is and Jesse Faden, both from Control, and show up in this game too. But I can't tell you why or how.
Yeah.
You have to play the game.
You have to play the game, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can see it
they
now.
rotate
Yeah.
through a lot of the same actors, and they're like kind of like a family, because they're based in Finland.
Yeah.
And they hire like Finland actors, and like once they found the actor they want, they keep them like, for like the next game, which could be 10 years later. The same actor that was in the Quantum Break teaser that you showed me, Funky,
Yeah.
who was Alan Wake, is the same actor that's here, and that was in 2014.
That'll explain why Poets of the Fall are a Finnish rock band.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
And I've been checking out their music. They've got some pretty decent stuff. Not great, but some decent stuff. I bought a few songs from Apple. I'm waiting to get the soundtrack from this game, because this game, the soundtrack is phenomenal. There's like 5 songs I need to have right now that are not available yet. You can hear them on Spotify, but they're not available for purchase yet.
Who purchases music, dude? Just
I
listen
do.
to it on Spotify.
I do.
I don't use Spotify.
I don't use Spotify either. I would rather own my music instead of having to stream it off my phone and then rack up my data.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I still buy CDs, and then I rip them to my computer digitally to MP3.
I mean, use up your data.
Yeah.
You can download songs on Spotify and keep them on your so you
Yeah,
don't
and
have
then
to
if
use
they
up your
decide
data.
to not be on Spotify anymore, you
I'm
lose all
screwed.
of those songs.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems so archaic at this point, at least to me.
I do agree it is somewhat archaic. Same reason why DVDs and Blu-rays are dying.
Yeah.
Streaming is the thing. But when it comes to the occasional movie that I know I need to watch, or I need to, every so often I need to watch it
Something
or
you
see
really
it.
like that you wanna,
Yeah, I'm gonna buy the
and
Blu-ray
you're
of
gonna
it,
enjoy forever.
especially when we have this big sunburst coming soon and the internet goes out for 2 months. What are you guys gonna do then? Where's Spotify gonna be then, sir?
On my downloaded songs.
Well, you better download everything you want to watch beforehand, because you're gonna be sitting there for 2 months without internet or phones.
I think we'll
I
have
wouldn't
bigger.
complain about the
We'll have. I
phones.
think we'll have bigger worries bigger things to worry about when the 2 months of no internet hits.
Yeah, his
Then,
Uber Eats won't work.
I wish we had Uber Eats out here.
I don't
I
even have
can't
Uber
say.
Eats out here.
I've never used it. I don't even know if it's a thing.
DoorDash. We have Uber Eats, but DoorDash is our main
I
one.
think we have
And
something DoorDashy, but I don't use that either. I
DoorDashian.
I think it's been at least a
Huh?
year since I've ordered takeaway. I'll
Damn.
go and I'll go, but that's because I have like literally behind the corner I have 10 restaurants where I can go and get takeout. So it's not like I'm too good for it. It's just like
My
I'll just walk 5 minutes over there and order my food.
my issue is that probably the same as Koshi is that live in the middle of fucking nowhere,
Yep.
so nobody will
Yeah.
deliver to us anyway. So we have to go into town to pick it up.
Yeah,
if
and
we
even
order
if they
food.
did, your house would be banned, of course.
Okay.
That's exactly my problem. And I would have to tip so high just to get them to
Yeah.
come out here that I'd be
Yep.
paying like 3 times what the
Yeah.
original dish cost. It's not worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
for me, it's I can just walk for, depending on what I want, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, and I'll have different stuff. I'll have the option between just chip shop, kebabs, sushi, Chinese, I want to say Moroccan, but I'm not sure, so I'll just say Middle Eastern. So that's just within 5 minutes walking.
Yeah,
And the other
you
one
live in
where,
town though, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
I live like a shopping street is right next. I live on this on an in street of a big shopping street.
Yeah. So yeah,
And the other reason why the other
literally
ones that I
everything's
do
within walking
like,
distance for you.
yeah, and the other ones that I do like where I would order takeout, they're just, I need to order so much food that I'm never at the minimum cost for them to come and deliver.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, I don't want to spend 30 euros for where I'm gonna maybe eat 12 euros worth of it, but I need to have 30 euros, otherwise they won't deliver. So it's kind of like, yeah, well, fuck it then.
But see, the way I would do that is just like whatever excess food is just like, oh well, that'll be eaten tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah, but it depends on the food.
Sure. But like in most cases, that's how I look at it. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Like if I
it's
want to
like,
have like a
yeah,
really
we've
good
ordered.
sushi,
It's like, yeah, we've ordered too much, but at the end of the day, that just means tomorrow's also covered for food. So nobody
yeah,
has
but
to
like I
cook
said,
or
it just
anything.
depends on what you're ordering, because some of it is like you can't really reheat it. Like
Yeah.
you can even, like if I, let's say sometimes it's Indian, but then yeah, I can reheat the curry, but I can't reheat the naan or anything, or it kind of loses its textures, and it doesn't taste nice because it's reheated microwave bread by then, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, no thanks. I'll just make it myself.
That's fair.
yeah, so to end the Alan Wake 2 conversation, I'll just say it's gonna be my game of the year.
Mm.
Cool.
Uh, can
Funky,
I
will
say
you
one
do?
thing about the main actor?
Yes. Go ahead.
For every now and then he reminds me of a cheap Bradley Cooper.
Speaking
Yeah.
of game of the year, what are your guys' runner-ups so far for game of the year, or do you have one already?
It's still Borderlands. Fuck no.
Borderlands.
No, it's Baldur's Gate 3 still,
That's fair.
and then probably Remnant 2, and then probably and this is quote unquote, I'm one of the lucky ones, and it's working mostly fine for me, but that's no excuse. City Skylines 2.
What about you, Gannon?
Probably still Starfield for me.
Have you beat it yet?
No, I haven't played it
Then how
since the last time we talked about it, to be honest.
are you going to finish it before January 1st?
I have no idea.
Then how can you call it Game of the Year if you haven't finished it?
Because I've played enough of it to know that it's a game I enjoy a lot. I've just been preoccupied with other stuff. That's the only issue. And it's the type of game that I know that if I return to it, I'll not put it down for another week. So I've got like other shit I need to be playing right now. So I'm just kind of just taking a break, taking it slow. I will go back to it. It's just when I know that I've got nothing else that's really demanding my time, I can just chill and play that for a week straight.
That's a great way. That's a great way to say your Game of the Year. When I have nothing else to do, I'll come back to it.
No, because I want to, because I know it'll suck me into playing it. You know.
I know, and it just sounded. It just sounded hot.
It sounds stupid when it's worded that way, but it's like I don't know any other way to put it really, because it's just I know it's gonna demand a lot of my time because I'm going to want to play it for a lengthy amount of time once I get back into it, which is why I'm kind of avoiding it, because I know it's gonna yank me back in. Like it took me like when I got it to when I put it down, I played 65 hours straight. Like if that was day after day after day. So
straight, that's hard for you.
So like once I had put it down, I was like, okay, I can now play. I'm free to play other games for a bit. So I'm kind of just I'm hesitant to jump back into it because I know it's going to be another 60 hours or so that it's going to suck me back in. So
what about motorsports?
You mean the Crew? Motorfest?
Yeah, is it? Oh, Motorfest. Yeah, that's the one.
Motorfest. That is depending on the update that's coming in December, we'll decide if that is a contender or not.
All right, fair enough.
But I'd say probably not. It's a very fun game. It's very solid. And if the update in December fixes the issues I've got with it, then that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, it is still just a fun racing game. It's not really a game where I can get super invested into the experience, the immersion, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, but you didn't feel like you played it for 2 weeks fairly heavily, so I was kind of wondering.
I still play it quite often. Like I'm playing it most days. But that's like partly due to the fact that there's like a decent community around it, so it's keeping it pretty in the spotlight right now.
It's your go-to casual game.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
Whereas
That's what I was wondering about.
Whereas Starfield is more that type of game that gives you like a big
demands your attention.
Yeah, it gives you a big player experience kind of thing. It's the whole immersive world that you can get lost in, that kind of thing. Whereas a racing game to me is, while I very much enjoy them, that I don't generally consider them the absolute top of my favorite games. Even though they are like a really fun genre to me, it is not like it's not, it doesn't bring the criteria that I would place on a game of the year for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Even when they're nominated or something like that.
Yeah.
For like, you know they're not gonna win it. It's like, oh, it's nice to get the nominee, and
Yeah, like they definitely
it's kind of like an Oscar
the...
winner. It's kind of like an Oscar nominee that already knows they're gonna lose
like
anyway.
If we're talking about like categories, and they came up and said, what's the this game's best racing game, I'd be like, yeah, that's definitely Motorfest for me, 100%. Like none of the other games really would appeal to me, and certainly wouldn't play as well as I enjoy Motorfest. So like, but like overall, over every genre, I wouldn't place a racing game at the tippy top. It just would
Yeah,
be the best racing game.
yeah, exactly. Or the best sports game kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't play other sport games, so it's like
No. But I feel like that is what you could put it in and still
yeah,
kind of qualify, mainly because the rest of them are so shit.
yeah, true. I don't think anything other than Forza Motorsport. I don't think any other racing games really released this year.
Smaller ones, but and
Yeah.
Forza shit the bed. So
Did it though? I mean, I've heard people. It seems to be getting mixed reviews. Some people aren't happy with it, and
No, it but that's every
from what I've heard though, it's
Forza game. It launched really bad.
from what I've heard though, it's like people are saying that it hasn't changed enough. But from my understanding was that it wasn't supposed to. It was meant to just be an updated version of the last game that they had to take off the store because of the licensing issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just knew, and for a lot of people, it ran pretty bad because it was badly optimized and all of that, which is usually the case for
Oh, for the course of Microsoft
Forza
stuff.
games. Yeah, and just in general. But like, I don't think not that I've looked at that many of them, but I think most of them just always launch
Mhm.
shitty. But then the core to it is fun. So it's one of those pick it up on a sale because by then it's hopefully fixed
Yeah.
kind of thingies.
Motorfest actually released in a like it's been super stable. Runs really smoothly. Which is it's just funny because during the beta it was terrible. Like it barely worked for anybody. In the beta, you had to disable a bunch of stuff on your computer just to get the goddamn thing to run at any FPS. It was like chugging along so bad. And then when it launched, all of that was gone. They fixed all of it. So I was very
That's
happy with
probably
that.
how much time was in between those?
Not that long. Not that long at all.
And they probably got specifics for certain cards and everything like that. I would assume.
yeah, I mean, they gathered the right data. They worked
Yeah.
on it. You know, they I've got to give it to Avitara. They definitely took on board everything they should have taken on board from that beta and fixed it all. So I'm pretty happy for
Yeah.
that.
Good for them.
The only things the game really needs right now is quality of life improvements. I'd say is the major thing that needs to be like worked on right now. It's lacking a few of the convenient features that the Crew 2 had, which is weird because you would expect the Crew you would expect those features to just be in the next game by default. But they're not, so it's a bit strange there. But like driving physics and all that kind of stuff, and the cars and all that kind of stuff, and the activities, there's plenty to do. So in terms of how the game handles and runs, it's flawless. It's just like yeah, just quality of life features, and they need to work on the goddamn party system and the multiplayer because it is the usual Ubisoft jank right now. So
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's funny the bits of the game that work is all Ivory Towers thing, and then the bits that are shit in the bed right now. Like the multiplayer stuff is all Ubisoft Connect related, so it's like the fuck. Get your
Yeah.
shit together,
I think
Ubisoft. Goddamn.
yeah. Oh, kind of don't get why they still have well, I get why they have a store. I just don't get why they have a launcher for themselves. But if you're gonna have your own store, you might as well have your own launcher.
I mean, the game is
But
only available on their platform right now, so
yeah, but I just feel like since just get it through GOG kind of thing. Just use their thing. You'll buy it online and then you just it's added to your GOG. You don't
yeah.
need to do all the bullshit. Or you can add it to your Steam and it works through that way. But oh well, it is one of the downsides of all of those things. Having to have all of those launchers.
Yeah. I also need to get back to playing Days Gone. I need to finish that game.
Koshi's game of the year.
Yep.
Excellent game.
Was it
I
your
mean,
game of the year? Or...
believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if you played it when it came out or not.
No, I did.
Well, the PC version.
Yeah. They came out in
Yeah.
2018, I believe, right before Red Dead.
Yeah, it
It's
could
just
be. Yeah.
as much as I enjoy, I've been enjoying Days Gone of what I've played of it. It's still just lacking that certain something about survival horror games that I'm wanting, and that nothing has provided yet so far.
Yeah,
there was
most games have that.
There was an updated trailer for that. What was it called? The Day Before. You know that scam game that people were talking about.
Oh yeah. It's
Uh,
coming to early access now.
Yeah,
Even though they
apparently
never
it's
announced early access.
apparently it's early access coming December. I think December.
Yeah,
Something or other,
8th of
early
December or something like that. I watched Kira's
So
video on it.
I guess we'll I guess we'll see how that
Have
turns out.
we'll have a good laugh then.
Do you know what would be the absolute most funny is if it got released and it was actually good. Yeah, like those.
I mean,
like
everybody's
in
hoping
secret.
for that, but
Yeah,
realistically,
it's not gonna happen. That's
Yeah.
what would make it so funny is because we know it's not
Yeah.
gonna happen. But if it did,
like,
it's
see, we told you guys. You
damn.
just wouldn't believe us. It's like, yeah, but you fucked up a lot as well. Come on,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, and I'll take the head for it, but like I shit on the state of how Starfield would launch, and some of the news that Koshi took as the glass half full. I took as glass half empty, or whatever
Yeah.
the cynical ways. I don't use that saying too much, but I had r- reasons to be skeptical of Bethesda. Not it launched good, so good on them, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I was
I'll
I was
admit it,
shocked.
but I had my reasons to be skeptical.
I'm not gonna say Starfield was flawless when it launched, but
Oh, no.
it was definitely a way more smooth
Compared
than
to the rest, there was.
Yeah. Like it was way less jank than I was expecting from a Bethesda game. Like they definitely put their effort into making sure this was going to be a better experience than people were expecting of them.
Yeah, because like when I remember Koshi said it about the what is it, 1,000 QA testers or something from Microsoft are working or helping along with
Yeah.
it or something like that. And Koshi took that. Look, see, they're really, and I look at us, God, if they need 1,000 workers from Microsoft, then it must be really shit. I was wrong, but it's just how you interpret it.
I mean, you were probably right in some way because it was probably Microsoft coming in and going, look, Bethesda, we know that this is going to be a fucking shit show. Here's 1,000 testers to help you make sure this is not a shit show. Use them, please.
yeah.
And hell, credit to them, they clearly used them because it did release in a good state. So it worked. It paid off.
Yeah, I'll take the bullet. I was wrong.
Yeah, Microsoft patting themselves on the back for that one.
yeah. I mean, if that failed, god damn it.
Yeah.
Because like they don't have obviously now they have Blizzard and everything like that, but just from themselves, like that's the reason why they had to ban, because even if you like their games, not a lot of them launch great.
No.
Even if you like them, because it's like, oh god damn it. Just if like CFTs is good these days, but it launched terribly. I hear that Halo Infinite PvP might be worth playing now because of the Forge stuff they're making, but that's kind of like, yeah, you pretty much used your community to make stuff. Smart on them, but should have been in from the start and
should have been in
that.
from launch. It would have saved the fucking game. God damn, it took them so long.
Age of Empires, as far as I'm aware, launched good.
Yeah, Age of Empires 4 launched perfect. It was it ran really smooth. But
but apart from those, I'm kind of like the other ones. Not really.
The Age of Empires devs, they know exactly what they're doing. I'm pretty sure
and
that's
they're kind of just
That's the studio Microsoft just go, yeah, do what you need to do. Like,
exactly.
Very hands off for them because they've clearly got their shit nailed down.
Yeah. It's kind of like with Naughty Dog. Just make your thing in a.
I'm pretty hyped about Age of Empires 4. The expansion
Oh,
is
there's a 4
coming out.
coming. Oh, expansion, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
didn't know
releasing
that.
they're releasing 2 new factions. Which one? Japanese was one of them. I can't remember the other one. I think it was the Byzantines. However you pronounce that.
Yeah, Byzantine. So
Yes. Um,
Xanthine.
yeah. The Byzantines and the Japanese are getting released, which is going to be pretty pog.
I kind of thought the Japanese would be in already.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know why. But, like, I want like the Vikings faction in, but maybe that'll come next. I don't know. I know there's a lot of other people who also want like a Nordic faction put in as well. So it's
Problem with
gotta be on their list to do, surely, if there's so many people asking for it.
yeah.
But there was a lot of people asking for the Japanese as well. So and as
Yeah.
like the Byzantines were huge, like a very favorite faction for the Age of Empires 2. So
I feel like with the Japanese, you can add more personality to it than the Vikings, because the Vikings, yeah, they start good, but once you kind of start upgrading everything like that, it kind of just starts feeling a bit just regular, generic medieval kind of thingy. I mean, you'll
yeah.
still have your boats, but like, oh, here's them in good armor, here's them in.
Well, there's a
This.
few factions
Building
that
wise, at least, I'm thinking more building wise.
yeah, but there's a few factions that kind of like they're similar in style, but they've got like
Yeah, Byzantine
certain
as well, I guess.
they've got like certain units and certain play style that like fits them. So like for example,
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
like for example, the French, the English, and the Holy Roman Empire kind of have very similar progression, but they focus on different like aspects. So like the Holy Roman Empire is it's like obviously they've got the religious units, but they're also very strong footmen. The French is cavalry units that are really strong and very heavy defenses, and then the British is obviously ranged units that are really good, ranged in siege. So like, although they all kind of have that like medieval similar thing to them, they've got like the different aspects where they shine. So they could definitely be like they could definitely have the Nordic faction be like naval focused maybe, or like they could probably go the route of having them be raiders in the same sense that the Mongols are a nomadic
or like
faction.
berserker units kind of thingy.
Yeah, because the Mongols have a thing that's unique to them, where if you use your units to attack buildings, they steal resources while doing so. So it encourages you as the Mongols to continuously attack your enemies instead of like turtling and building inwards. You are basically just like you just form loads of units and continuously throw them at the enemy, because that's how you get loads of resources and like steamroll. So they could definitely like do that kind of mechanic where like encourages the Viking type faction to raid the your enemies for resources. I think that could definitely be it would be nice to have another. It would be nice to have another faction that kind of has that kind of uniqueness to them.
Yeah, add a twist to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see that. You're right.
There's a lot they could do with it. There's definitely a lot they could do with that faction. I'm interested to see eventually when it comes in, because they've got to add it in. They've got to be, like I say, it's got to be on the list to do. I don't really know.
Assuming this is a success, which there's no reason not to think
it will be. It will.
It won't be. So next expansion maybe.
Yeah. The Japanese have a cool mechanic. Apparently, their town centers get upgraded to castles instead of like building castles around and stuff. That's pretty cool.
That makes sense for their traditional stuff.
Yeah. Like everything's all their like unique stuff is very themed after actual historic stuff.
Yeah.
Even the
that was one of the benefits
samurais
/ downsides.
Like the samurais and stuff are like more historically accurate samurais, where they're on horseback and they've got like different types of weaponry, like whatever that spear is with the sword on the end of it. It's kind of like instead of like running around with like, oh, we are the
Under Yugi
honor-bound
and all of that.
samurais with our katanas. It's like, no, that's not like historically accurate. So it's not what they're doing.
Yeah. It's like expecting a knight to only have either be on horseback with a lance or have a sword, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the sword was kind of the backup
Yeah.
for the most part.
Very much.
So if you had to use your sword, you were it's like you're in the middle of it. And that, ideally you don't want to be in the middle of it during
True.
combat. You
Very
just
true.
want to keep him at bay and kill him.
Pretty
Or
much.
at least hurt him and push him back. Mm.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that. I mean, there's quite a few things to sink your teeth into towards the end of the year. It seems. It's funny. It's usually I feel like it's in previous years there hasn't really been much to do around the Christmas time.
Usually it was. But it's been a couple of years where they just got delayed until the
Yeah,
next
that's
year.
probably it. Yeah, that's probably it. Really, it's been delayed.
And then
so
you had
it's
the
made it
pandemic,
feel
so
that way.
that kind of delayed everything
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
But
yeah.
usually, like I would say 5 years ago or something, like it was end of October to end of the year was kind of like big releases.
Yeah.
That's when your Modern Warfares and your Battlefields and your God of Wars and all of that would have launched. But they are spreading it a bit more, which is beneficial to us as well.
Yeah, beneficial to us and beneficial for them as well, because obviously they don't want to be
Yeah,
competing with too many games when they're releasing. And
yeah,
we
exactly.
don't want to
So,
be buying too many games at once. We want
yeah,
time to buy something and play it as well. So
exactly. Especially with the big ones, which is
yeah,
big ones as in it's gonna take a while. You're gonna invest a lot of time in it. Yeah, definitely.
I think maybe they've
Mm.
realized that they don't have to release everything towards Christmas to get sales now. I think they just
Christmas kind of still
it's still there, but it's like they're not like absolutely
it used.
necessary
I think
for it anymore.
it's a yeah, it's a remnant from when people still bought boxed units because,
Yeah,
and that's why it's still somewhat of a thing because
yeah,
people or grandparents or this or that would buy it for like their kids uh Christmas or something. That's why I think Switch is mainly still kind of like, hey, look at these Nintendo sales that are coming, or
Excuse
this
me, did you
game.
say sales?
Yeah,
Nintendo
I
don't
mean,
put their games on sale.
no, but
Come
it's a
on.
it's a no, it's a Nintendo sale for a game that launched 30 years ago. Now you can buy it for 55 euros instead of 60 euros.
No, don't you
That
mean 55
30-year-old
instead of
games.
don't you mean 55 instead of the 50 that originally cost?
It
No,
is
no,
it is funny because on the Nintendo store, like when you look on your Switch, there is like a sales section. They do have like sales games on sale there, but it's very rarely their top franchises that they ever put on
yeah,
sale. Like the Mario
They're
games
known
that
notoriously for never putting their games on
yeah,
sale.
like the
And
Mario
then
games, I never see those motherfuckers in the sales section, no matter how old they are.
in fact, in times they've actually gone up in price.
yeah,
Yeah,
literally, yeah. There's a game I think
that's
that you
whack,
could have
yo.
bought for. I think it was on like one of the Game Boys or the DS's, and that would have cost you 30 euros. Let's say 40, depending on which one. Now it's available on Switch, and I think it's $60. And you're like, what the fuck?
I mean,
It is
that's like a whole hour-long spiel we could go on for Nintendo being
yeah,
weird. So
true. Yeah, it's a never-ending sinkhole.
pretty much.
Yeah. Uh,
Funky.
anyway,
Do you
yeah.
have anything to talk about?
Mostly just City Skylines too. Since once
Oh yeah,
again,
are you enjoying it?
for the most part, yeah, there's some things that I wish they would have added as well from popular mods from the previous one, like the Road Anarchy, where you can kind of select the lanes, and you can do it a little bit here, but not quite as much as I would want to. I'm one of the lucky ones where it mostly runs fine for me. Every now and then there's a little hiccup here or there, or AI is acting dumb. But and there's but for the most part I'm really enjoying it, even though there are issues, and for a lot of people, and those should be fixed, and sucks that they have to go through that. But I can't change the fact that it's running fine for me. So I can only do so much.
Yeah,
But there's some stuff
there's a lot of
that
people
were
having issues with performance, doesn't there? That the
yeah
game was
yeah
just running at
yeah
like 2 FPS or something crazy like that.
yeah. I think for me, it starts off slow, but it does a lot of background loading. You even see it if you press play
Yeah.
from your launcher instead of resume. You kind of see the game like, oh, this we're loading in the background. This is X amount of percent is loaded. So the first like 3 or 4 minutes might still be a bit slow,
Yeah.
and every now and then it stutters again. But for the most part, I think I played it for 3 hours straight and didn't really have, apart from one AI problem, I didn't really have any problems. But I just set everything to medium and set it to full screen windowed, and it's been running fine. But I don't know, I don't want to say I'm in the minority, but I know there's a lot of people that don't have that luxury. But when it's working, I'm having fun with it. There's some stuff where I wish they would have expanded on, because they released it in DLC as city skylines, like the industries and everything like that, and they still kind of have it where
Mm.
you can plop down a building, and it will be for mining coal, and you do it over a area that has coal. But it used to be then you could attach buildings. You would have to build a road there. You still quote unquote need to build a road there, but once you have like that one building has access to it, it will just take the area you selected for it to mine, and will just plop buildings down there every time it levels up, instead of making you have to plop them down, seeing how you want to organize them. Will they have access? No, it's just like, oh, well, we have, take a circle in the middle is that building, and it just starts, instead of you saying, oh, I want this building here, it just selects where it wants it, and you have no real say over it, which is kind of a shame. And I kind of feel like they did that for DLC stuff, where that will be added later, which is one of those mixed feelings about, because
I mean, it could also
technically
be
they
that
have
they
added it, but it feels like they held back a bit to introduce it later, kind of
maybe,
thingy.
or they
Where I
just
was hoping for a vanilla version of it and then add to it.
or they were just thinking maybe this was like something tedious and we could just automate it to like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
have people
I don't know the
worry about
feedback.
it.
I know I liked it. Yeah, but there's other stuff that I really like. For example, you can now sell excess products you have and everything. So if I have a um water powered plant, and it's connected to the outside. So if I make too much energy, so all of that energy is getting sold.
Mhm.
So that's income for me. I like that the your operational buildings are bigger, but they also have more effect over the map in general. So like I've got two schools downs, and one college and one high school, but two schools for the kids, and two vastly different areas, and that's like all I need. I don't need to go like it used to be where a house was maybe 3 tiles wide, and a big school would be like 4 by 6 or something, but it would still not be. And this kind of feels like it takes up an entire block. Like the power plant I have is pretty much um 6 blocks or something like that big, but produce it. It's expensive. The economy, it's instead of it costing like 7,000, it's 700,000. So it feels a bit more grounded as well as it being a bit more expensive. So I like that. There's a lot of things I like. It's definitely an update to the previous one. It's just like you with stuff. It's just waiting on a bit of quality of life and patches, but I'm having a blast so far.
Sounds to me like you hate it.
No, there's like I there's legit criticism to be had, but there's a lot of there's a lot of positives as well, but it's one of those things where it just feels better. I could explain it, but it feels like an upgrade, and there's stuff that I like, and you have a lot more options with your roads. There's some stuff that they have taken out that I'm questioning, but maybe I haven't gotten it yet because this time every time your city levels up, you get tiles you can use, and instead of being able to buy one massive tile, you get like you can buy like it's that one big tile in the first one is now split up into 4 small tiles, and you can just be like, oh, I just need this part. Like it used to be, oh, I want ocean access, but the only ocean access I have is this big tile, and I can use 20% of land, and unless I'm filling it all up with and making my own island, I'm pretty much wasting that tile. And now you can just see, oh, yeah, I'll just take these 2 bits of land, and the rest, yeah, that's water, so I don't need that. So that's a positive for sure. um I think the outside access stuff is really fun because you can have it with trains and everything like that, so that's really fun. The fact that also every time your city levels up, you get points to invest into certain things. You can start with invest 1 point into having a crematorium, but if you don't invest that point, you don't get access to it. But if you want, you can pretty much kind of start your city with one. Instead of having a graveyard, you can start with uh bigger roundabouts, because you start with a roundabout, but then if you invest a point into that roundabout, you suddenly have bigger, so you can manage your traffic better. It's kind of annoying that the highway is somewhat stuck behind it, but it's not too much because I think that costs like 2 points or something, so it's not too bad. Parking spaces are behind it, but that's like extras. But you can build a city without it, but you can kind of pick and choose what you want first. It's like, oh, well, I have a lot of industrial, so let me invest a bit more into the fire and fire station and all of this. Or you're struggling with healthcare. Oh, let me invest in a hospital instead of this. Where with the previous game, it was just pretty much like, well, I really, for me, it was mainly the crematorium. That's why I like that one. I like using the crematoriums in City Skylines one, but by the time it always took longer than I wanted to get there, because it's like, oh, you need a city of 30,000 people, and it's just like, well, I guess I'll just wait until I'm there, until I get the unlocks that I want, and now I can just kind of guide my path there,
Yeah, so
like a
there's
talent tree. Like I want this, so
streamlined it a
this
bit.
is what I'm focusing. Yeah, yeah. So that's really fun as well, and it kind of gives you some things where you can kind of specialize first.
Yeah.
Or if like, oh, the roads are fucked. Oh, but if I get this piece, so if I just get there, and it's also like level 1 you get 1, level 2 you get 2 points, level 3 you get 3 points, level 4 you get 4 points. So it's always the level you're going at. That's how many points you use, and I think the most expensive points are like 8, and then you get like the best building for that talent tree kind of thingy. So that's really fun. Like I think if I want to use solar panels, that's one tier down, but that's the highest for natural and natural non-harmful energy, and that costs like 4 points. So it's a little if you're starting out, it's a lot, but at a certain point, like I'm about to be level 8, so that would just be half of my points of this level that I got. So it's a nice little balancing thing.
Good.
So there's
So
definitely
what I
positives.
hear from that is that you're not happy.
Yeah, no, game sucks. Yeah. That's for the most part everything I expected it to be, and that is a good thing. It's
Sounds
just
it.
a better version of the first one with some issues and a bit in need of a couple of quality of life things
I mean,
and a road
it's
anarchy mod.
it's not like you were I don't think anybody was expecting it to like City Skyline 2 rock the boat edition. It's not going to vastly
Yeah.
change how things work. It was going to be like most sequels are. It's just going to take the first game and improve upon it, which
Yeah.
from it sounds like it has done. So
Excuse
exactly.
me. There's going to be a space exploration DLC. Now you're going to be able to build cities on the moon.
okay,
There's a game for that already.
Lunarians.
Yeah.
They're real,
No,
guys.
it's just
They're
like
real.
yeah. It's just like I've gotten what I wanted.
Oceans on the moon.
Yeah. Just get surviving Mars.
It's not a rock. It's a hut.
Yeah. One little thing that I think I said it already. I don't know if it was on the podcast or something. Is which is a kind of sad, but like I bought some of the radio stations and some of the stations from City Skylines 1, and it's kind of sad that I can't have those in City Skylines 2, but it's probably just copyright reasons because they
Oh
were
yeah, 100%
copyrighted
it will
for
be.
City Skylines 1 and not 2. But it's kind of like, well, I own the DLC for that already. Can I just like cross over and just have me install it and just be able to listen to it anyway? But you know, that was one of those wishful ideas thingies.
I mean, I'm sure someone will mod it eventually.
Yeah, and I just have my own playlist anyway most of the time, so I just listen to my own music. But there were some good stations there, and some of the advertisements were fun. So it was
Someone's
kind of
walking
fun
by,
to
they're
hear
like,
that.
"Funky, why are you running both City Skylines 2 and 1?" You're like, well, one's got the
Oh,
radio.
music, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was one like okay, country radio station in one, and they had like really funny advertisements. So whenever I was like, oh, let me work on my farming area, I would put that on, just listen to the fun ads where it's just like, oh, here, like some dumb guy doing something or stuff like that.
I don't know what it
It's a
is.
little bit of fun, a little bit of immersion, you know.
I don't know what it is, but every time a game has like radio station, like their own made up adverts, it's always funny as hell. And I feel like
Yeah,
GTA was the one that kind of started that trend because they had like
yeah, it
really
could be,
goofy,
yeah,
stupid shit on their adverts during the radio stations, and it was always hilarious.
yeah.
I love it when game companies do that, when they make up their own silly little goofy
Yeah.
adverts and stuff.
Yeah, it's like here you have like they advertise like a steakhouse and it's like dino steaks and it's like not a real dino and stuff like that. When you know goofy little things or there was one like what was it where they would literally buy your the fish you had that is kind of rotting and they would use it and sell it on their menu kind of stuff like that. It's like yeah, bring your frozen food that has probably already gone bad. Bring it over here. We'll cook it for you at a price. It's like, all right, let's go. That's kind of because now it's I think there's some commercial, but you only get like 2 radio stations and neither of them really they're not bad, but they're just pretty generic. So it's kind of like, I'll just listen to my own music.
That's fair. All
Yeah.
right,
So what you're saying is the music sucks.
just shut up.
No, no.
All right. I'd
Oh,
say
one more thing.
okay.
Watch Old Dads.
Yes, Old Dads. We saw that yesterday. It is pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
A little bit of info. It's Bill Burr's basically new movie, and it's on Netflix, and it's really good. If you like Bill Burr's comedy, that is 100% right up there with what you're expecting it to be, and a little bit
Not
extra.
even close.
I
Not
would
even
say
close.
I would say it's what you're expecting from Bill Burr, his comedy, but it is more than that. It actually has like an actual proper story to it as well. So
There you go.
it's a full on movie. It's not just like
Best stuff. It's not a best stuff.
yeah, it's not just his stand up. It's the other experiences in his life put into a movie format. So it's really good. It's
And he directed it, and he did a really good job there as well.
yes, he did. I agree with that, and he's definitely his acting is starting to show that he can do more versatile stuff. I feel like he's getting more comfortable with it. I feel like
Yeah, I feel like he's slightly getting rid of that imposter syndrome, which I think he
yeah.
talked about when he was when he for his first parts.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean
like, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
yeah, that's why he played literally just himself in whatever role he was. He was literally just Bill Burr with a different name.
Yeah, yeah.
But even he says like that was what he admitted to. He was like, yeah, I just play myself. It's like the easiest gig in the world. It's great. But I feel like he's kind of I feel like the more he's done it, the more he's kind of like settled into it and thought, hey, maybe I can give this like a real go. And he seems to be doing quite well with it.
Yeah, I think he also, I'm not sure, but I think he took some lessons as well.
Almost 100%. He probably did. Like it's not like he's lacking money. He can definitely hire a guy to
No,
teach
but
him
I'm
how to
saying like
act.
sometimes like the studio will make you do that, but he did
Oh,
it on his own.
no, he's definitely. I would say he's definitely the type to do like go out there and get lessons for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, watch
Wow.
that.
Wow, what? Wow,
Wow. Wonderful.
what is?
Everything you just said.
Okay,
She's
vibe,
just being a hater today because we're
motherfucking
stopped talking
vibe
about.
assassin. You little sitting
He's
over
just
there.
angry
You
that we're
see,
not talking about Alan Wake anymore.
yeah, he's
No, it wasn't his best comedy. It wasn't life changing. It was just a decent, good film from him.
I enjoyed
And
it.
that's it.
I thought it was a good movie, and I think for his first attempt at directing a movie, it definitely was a solid movie to watch. So
Yeah, it was competent is the word you're looking for. He was able to do the film without fucking it up. He did nothing special in the film. So let's not pretend that he was like, you know, doing the greatest job ever. He wasn't. He just did a
Well, we're
competent
not
job
saying
at
that.
directing it. No, but you guys are talking it up like oh, he did such a good job at directing it, and no, he didn't. He
Koshi,
just did.
everybody, the vibe assassin.
That's my job.
Vibe
I'm
assassin.
supposed to be the cynic on this thing. I'm supposed to
I'm
shit
sorry.
on
I'm
everything.
sorry. That's
Altair, he's
right.
the
That's right.
fucking
That's right.
vibe
Oh,
assassin.
okay.
Jesus
Okay. Let's
Christ.
switch it. Let's switch it. Let's switch it real
Yeah.
quick. Funky. He did an amazing job. I mean, he wasn't like artsy fartsy or like doing like the long pans or the one shot takes or anything like that. But it was really really good regardless of that. What do you think?
I think, it
Jesus
was a
Christ.
pretty basic filming that you can't go wrong with, and the story, while it had a heart, it's nothing special. But all right, now let me switch it back around to what we were actually. But for the first time and just a generic comedy, it's better than most generic comedies that are released these days, which is somewhat of a back to the cynic, which is somewhat because there's also not a lot of good comedies coming out
Yeah,
in the last couple of years.
yeah, it's true.
But for his first movie and his first writing, he did a good job for being that it's the first. That's kind of what we're going. It's not the next Blazing Saddles or anything like that, but for your first time, you did a good job.
How would you compare it to Free Guy, the last comedy movie we watched?
I would say this one is better,
Oh my god.
but I think I came through a realization with Free Guy about Ryan Reynolds, and this is a personal one where I feel like he's better
You're
if
in love with
he's
him.
no, I feel like he's better when has a co-lead to banter with, and when he's kind of like the leading man on his own, it kind of just falls a bit flat. Not to say that it's bad, but
You know what?
it
I would
doesn't
agree with
vibe
that.
the same with me.
I would agree. I think he's pretty fine on his own, but he definitely
Yeah,
shines.
Like,
but
I'm not knocking him, but
Yeah, like
he's 10 times better if he has a good co-lead.
But I think that's definitely his personality that shines through in there. It's like he's definitely better when he's bouncing off another person. For sure. Which is why Deadpool he's so good in that role, is because he's got people around, like the cast around him is the banter between the characters works so well for him. So
yeah,
I would agree with
my
that.
favorite parts because my favorite parts of Free Guy were when he was bantering with people. Like with the girl
But
and everything, if he's bantering
isn't
there.
that kind of how most comedy works, though? When you think about it,
Kind of. I mean, it's not always that, but that's when comedy's best shines, I would suppose.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
But
have
so
to
is that a
explicitly
Ryan
be
Reynolds
that.
problem or a comedy problem?
I would say it's a
Bit of both.
it's a Ryan Reynolds problem, but he's not the only one that has that problem. I think The Rock is also better when he vibes off of things versus if he's just doing his acting.
Which is why him and Kevin Hart are so great as a duo, actually.
Yeah. But I feel like
I
Kevin
love
Hart.
seeing,
Kevin Hart can hold his own in a comedy. He can do it solo.
He's got a massive personality, though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not
to make
a
up for the
knock on
fact
any of
that
them.
he's
They're still
so
good.
short.
Like yeah, and it's not a knock on them. They're still good. It's just they're better when kind of thing.
No, it sounds to me like you hate him.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
I also feel
he's Canadian, so.
But I also feel that's the whole. Kevin Hart is a stand-up comedian.
We
Ryan
just
Reynolds
lost our Canadian
isn't.
audience. Thank you, everyone, for used to watch.
Like if Ryan Reynolds isn't a stand-up, whereas Kevin Hart is, so I feel like that's probably why Kevin Hart can stand on his own, is because that's
like I wouldn't consider
part of his thing.
Ryan Reynolds a comedian. He's an actor with comedy chops, just like Ryan Gosling. I wouldn't consider Ryan Gosling a comedian, but he can be very funny.
Look, I'm going to say this.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to try to put this as delicately.
Get ready for your vibes to get fucked.
I'm going to put this as delicately as I possibly can.
You're all fucking idiots.
It's not delicate at all.
I feel like pretty much all comedians vibe, if you will, when they're with somebody that they can play off of. When you get two comedians together, it's extra better. If the chemistry is there, like Kevin Hart and The Rock, or Kevin Hart and whoever, it just works. It works really well.
My favorite thing about
hold on.
All right.
It just works. All right. That's why I disagree that it's a Ryan Reynolds problem. I think it's the fact that the comedian needs to play off of the events and or other people that they're surrounding themselves with. Because if you don't, then you end up with a piece of shit film by Bo Burnham. All right.
Oh, here we
from
go.
Netflix.
He's never gonna let it down. I'm gonna be hearing about
that
this.
That is the perfect example,
years.
though. He was by himself. He had nothing to play off of, no one to banter with. And what did you get? Lame ass musicals, right?
It was a brilliant fucking movie. Fuck you. Talk about fucking low IQ people not appreciating something. Shut your mouth, boy.
No, but I see your point, and yes, you are right. But I also feel like there's plenty of them that can kind of hold their own and kind of.
And Bo Burnham's not one of them.
Take lead and kind of take the charge, and I don't feel like Ryan Reynolds is fully there, but I mean, technically it's a knock on him, but it's not going to stop me from enjoying his movie. If he's the main lead and he's the only main lead in it, I'll still enjoy it and everything like that. I just,
You also have to kind of remember, a lot of these people are actors first.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not really like Ryan Reynolds doesn't write comedy. He doesn't do stand up. He's able to have that sarcastic in Deadpool, or
he's better off the cuff stuff. Like
comedic chops, like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks
he has good comedy timing.
Yeah, same with like Tom Hanks. Like he was a comedian when he started, but he didn't do comedian stand up. He didn't write his own jokes or anything. He was just able to play the part. Bo Burnham, on the other hand,
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, but it's the same is true in reverse with some of Seth MacFarlane's comedy, where he's a comedy writer first and actor second in some of it.
True.
He's gotten better at it, but so it's kind of the reverse, where it's like, if you let him write a really good bit, it's really, really good. But his acting is kind of like, but it's not gonna stop me from enjoying it, unless
Which is
it's
true-
million
which is
a
true.
million ways to die.
Which was true until we seen the Orville. Now I think that
Yeah.
he really showed that he can actually act when he gives a shit. I'm not
I still
right.
think
Okay,
there's- yeah.
I think his acting in season 1 was kind
He's
of
definitely
typical.
improved a lot.
Yeah, like as the seasons of Orville went on, his acting got better.
Yeah.
Visibly got better. Like it just, I don't think anybody can deny that.
No, for sure. But I think
I-
most of the actual actors in it are still better than him.
Of course, but they've been
That's to be
they've got
expected.
better. They've got more experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's to be
exactly.
expected from it.
Yeah.
But
I get
he-
that's
but
why I
feel
say
like-
it's not really a knock.
I feel like
but,
him being around them for like more than just that one season. So like as things went on, I think he kind of like learned from them just by watching them.
yeah, and then he dumps
being
them
around
and
them and-
hires somebody else.
Like Bo Burnham.
Yeah, he just gets he dates them, steals all their knowledge of acting, and then moves on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it. Just suck up their life essence.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Don't look at me.
Just like Bo Burnham sucked the life essence out of Koshi, apparently.
All true things.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll call it there.
Yeah.
Don't have really much more to talk about. We're just kind of rambling at this point. So, we'll be back next week, hopefully. Hopefully, also Zion will be here. Fingers crossed. Who
Probably
knows?
no to both those things.
Probably. There won't be enough. We'll be back next week. But I am considering making this maybe a bi-weekly thing instead of a weekly thing, so we've got a bit more to
might
talk
be,
about.
yeah.
If I think during these kind of slow months, which is what it feels like, then maybe the bi-weekly thing would be better, and then when like bigger things happen, we can kind of kick it off.
Yeah, we can go, but I would say maybe plan it bi-weekly, and then if there's something we really want to talk about, we can do a shorter one.
Yeah, I feel that's probably like that's what I've been thinking over the past couple of weeks. That's probably the better way to do it forward. So, yeah, we might be back next week then, but if not, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So yeah, well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. We will see you then, and hopefully we'll have more to talk about with probably more Alan Wake, because of course you will have likely finished the game by then, and I kind of actually want to hear what he thinks after he's finished it. So
The game is ass.
Hopefully the vibes will be better from Koshi in a couple of weeks too. This motherfucker has been destroying them the entire episode. So yeah,
Well, my vacation-
it's really time for him to get back to work from his vacation.
Koshi's the only person who goes on a vacation and gets more of a cunt.
Yeah.
Well, my vacation's almost over, to be honest, and I think that might be part of it.
Sorry, he's getting depressed because he's got to go back to work. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess we can accept that one. All right, peace out, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
You're all
We'll see you
cunts.
next time.
Later, skaters.
Bye.